Hey guys, I just wanted to give you a quick overview of our ServiceNow integration. This morning I've just logged on to my Centrify portal. I've used my AD credentials to get signed in here. And what I'm going to do is hit the SAML assertion across to the SC lab, right? So we're doing IDP to IDP federation here. So just getting into the SE lab environment. This is where I bombed out yesterday. So I'm going to click on the single sign-on tile for ServiceNow. So hopefully ServiceNow was going to load for us this morning. Prompted for multi-factor here. So I'm going to go ahead and use, let's do email this morning. And outside the screen here, I'm just going to go to my cell phone and bring up the email. Show you what it looks like. Here's the email. I click on continue with authentication. And the background is going to push the browser forward. Okay, so now we're in ServiceNow. So a couple of different use cases that I want to illustrate here. So first is application access, and then secondly, we'll talk about privileged user access to resources. So for the application access, what I want to show you here, let's go back to my user portal. Okay, so and drive the user experience portion of the demo from this interface here. Okay, so here I've got some infrastructure that I've got access to, right? This is through our vault, and here I've got applications that I've got access to using our IDaaS solution. So a couple of things. Number one, we do not see the WordPress app here. Number two, for the infrastructure piece, I actually shouldn't have access to this managed server here. So as you can see, that thing doesn't work. So that's good. That means we're in a good state to begin the demo. So the first thing I'm going to do rather is I'm going to request access to an application, to WordPress. And what you're going to see is through ServiceNow, it's going to pop up with an application tile here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to the service catalog in ServiceNow. We're going to go to Centrify App Access first. We're going to click on the title. These plugins for ServiceNow, I should mention, are available in the ServiceNow store. So these are custom modules that we've developed at Centrify with some basic workflow that you can extend and customize yourself. Okay, so here I am requesting access to an application. So I'll pick an application here. I'm going to search for the WordPress app. My justification here. And I'm going to click Order Now. So when I click Order Now, this is going to kick off the workflow for ServiceNow. This is just a self-approving workflow for demonstration purposes. Obviously, you want the request to go to somebody's inbox, and then the user's manager or the application owner to approve access to that. And if we come back here, what we should see is the WordPress icon has immediately been added to the user's IDaaS set of tiles. Okay, so now I can get access to the WordPress application. So very simple, very seamless. That's the power of the ServiceNow integration when it's tied in with our identity as a service solution. So behind the scenes, all that ServiceNow did was make an API call to Centrify to give me membership to this role. So and here's the workflow email saying that's been approved. So I'll show you what it looks like from an administrative side. So I'm switching hats into an administrator user and a privileged user. If I go to applications, you can see this is where we've got all of the different applications defined. So here's the WordPress application. The user access is tied to a role, specifically WordPress users. Okay, so if I were to sort of peel back the layers, members of that role, if I'm WordPress users, what you'll see now is I've actually been added to that role right here. So this was done by ServiceNow. Okay, that's the magic, right? ServiceNow made the call. it added the user to the role, and then I get access to the application on my portal. So this can be done for individual users. This can be done for groups of users as well, right? So we can tie access entitlements to either a user or to a group, and the groups can be linked to Active Directory security groups. So anyway, that's how you can accomplish RBAC with Centrify. Okay, so that's one use case. Second use case, I need access to a machine. Okay, privileged access, maybe to a shared account. So we're going to be using the Centrify Vault, Centrify Privilege Service for this. Once again, if I click on this machine, you'll see I do not currently have access. So next thing we do is we go back into ServiceNow. This time, instead of getting application access, we're going to request privileged access. Okay. So you can see here, I'm going to request access to a system. My choices are database, domains. This is a Windows domain account I could get access to, but in this case, we're going to get access to a specific system. That machine is called member one. Get access, find this machine, and then the account I want to request access to is this thing called managed account. And I want login access. So again, I need, let's say, login access for a demo. And lastly, we can time box the access. So I can choose a duration of minutes, hours, or days. For the purposes of this demo, let's make it 10 minutes. And let's click on our self-fulfilling workflow. And you can see it's been approved. I'm going to reload this tile right here, and then clicking on the server in question, I should be able to get an RDP session as the shared account, managed account. Okay. So on a Windows box, I could have popped open a native Windows RDP client. If it were a Unix or Linux box, I could have popped open a PuTTY session right from the browser. Okay. And then I guess a third use case would be a break glass use case. I haven't tested this one, so I'm going to fly by the seat of my pants on this. And the idea here is we're going to do the same thing, but instead of requesting login access, we're going to request access to the password to do a password checkout, right? So let's pick this member one server again. And I want to do a password checkout on the managed account. So break glass demo, let's say for 60 minutes now. So I'm going to hit order now. So this has been fulfilled. Now to get access to the password, we have to go to a different interface. But again, as a privileged user, I go into the admin portal. I go into the password vault section. So under systems, here's a list of all the systems that we have in the SE lab. As you can see, we've been doing a lot of development in AWS, but the on-prem systems are here. So member one, and then there's an account within member one, that managed account. I'm going to get the root password for this in just a second. So go to accounts. And now you see I've got two options here. So the login option, this is still valid from the other workflow request that I had approved for 10 minutes, right, to do the direct login, right, the RDP session. But for the most recent password checkout request, the workflow, I have this option available to me now. Now, previously, if I'd gone in without requesting access, these options wouldn't have been available to me at all, even within the password vault interface. But they've been enabled thanks to ServiceNow. So in this case, I can go ahead and copy the password. This is the password for the account, or I can show it on the screen. I'll go ahead and show, and you can see it's a high entropy randomized password. So we're changing the password on every privileged use, right? So if I were to check this password back in, this password would then be changed to another high entropy random value. So high level, that's our integration with ServiceNow. I've demonstrated single sign-on to the ServiceNow interface, okay, including multi-factor authentication. I showed you privileged access request for privileged accounts to be able to log in to the systems directly without exposing the password, as well as to check out a password, right, the break glass use case. And finally, I showed you an example of how you can get application access through our IDaaS solution, also using ServiceNow. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.